Well, assalamu alaikum. It's just after 1 p.m. and I want to go ahead and begin today's Talim on behalf of the Masjid Al-Taqwa Board of Directors, our resident imam, Brother Tariq El-Amin, the chair of the Talim Committee, Dr. Aisha El-Amin, and committee members, Dr. Gloria Bashir and Brother Samsudeen Sadiq. I want to welcome you all to our Talim today, which takes place on a rather bittersweet day as we mark the 56th anniversary of the assassination of our dear brother, Malcolm X. Want to remind everyone that's with us this morning that this Talim is being recorded. So if you are living off the grid, subscribe to an analog lifestyle, or are a wanted fugitive, this is a great time to jump off this call. Inshallah. I also want to remind everyone that all Talims will be available on the Masjid Al-Taqwa YouTube channel. It's YouTube/Masjid Al-Taqwa. You have access not only to this Talim, but past Talims, as well as all of our khutbahs from our past Jumas. Excited today. The topic of today's conversation is examining our history as we build for the future. We're fortunate to have 4 panelists who have the experience, the wisdom, and the historical knowledge to engender what I hope will be a lively and robust conversation. We have 4 panelists today. Sister Mariam Muhammad Baya, Sister Latifa F. Wahid Wangara, Brother Abdul Khalid El-Amin, and Brother Clyde El-Amin. In just a few minutes, I'm going to ask each panelist to introduce themselves briefly, and then I'm going to pose 2 to 3 questions. And then I'm going to ask those of us that are in the audience to fully engage. Good teachers know that those doing the talking are those that's doing the learning. So we don't want you to sit and just listen for the entirety of the Talim. We want to encourage folks to get involved as much as possible. We're coming up on 1:11 and we only have a solid hour with one another. So without further ado, I'm going to ask each panelist to introduce themselves with a brief introduction, somewhere around 30 seconds. And then we're going to launch into the actual questions. Now, I know 30 seconds is not a lot of time, but we just want to be mindful of the fact that, again, we want to squeeze as much out of this hour that we have with one another to have as rich of a conversation as possible. I guess I should introduce myself. My name is Lionel Allen, Jr. I'm a member of the Masjid Al-Taqwa Board of Directors, also chairman of the Men of Taqwa. And again, just can't tell you how excited it is for me to be here facilitating what I hope will be a lively dialogue. So I'm going to act as both facilitator and referee. It's so awkward sometimes to operate in these virtual spaces, but I'm going to do the best that I can, making sure that I draw folks into the dialogue. I'm going to ask that Sister Mariam start with a brief introduction of herself, and then we'll move to Brother Clyde and on down the line. Sister Mariam.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I am Sister Mariam Bia, Stewart Ward. I've been in the community for close to 50 years or more. And you said 30 seconds, right? I was scared to say something else.
I appreciate it. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And one quick reminder, if you are not speaking, please mute yourselves. We don't want to have to compete with background noise. All right, so you can kindly mute yourself, or as the host, I do have the power and authority to mute you, but I would rather you take care of that yourself. Thank you so much, inshallah. Brother Clyde, would you mind introducing yourself, please?
Yes, sir. I'm putting my stopwatch on. I'm Clyde El-Amin. Actually, since everybody had a middle name today, I want you guys to know that I'm Clyde Khalil El-Amin.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
And I've been in the community about 47, 48 years. I counted. I've been, most people know me as an educator, but and I've been an educator. I've been in educational settings. I really think the teachers do the educating, so I've really been more of an administrator, except when I was in our school, I taught, and I'm proud to say all of my experience has been in not necessarily historically Black, but Black institutions.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much, Brother Clyde.
And that's
Brother
my
Abdul.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum. I'm Abdul Khalid Elam, and I've been around also for about 42 years, but I don't count all 42 of those because, like we say, that you accept that Islam, but then the faith really doesn't enter your heart until later, right? So I want to really say that 25 of those years have been solid. I mean, really serious about being a Muslim and learning as much as I can and doing as much as I can for this community. I'm also a member of Masjid Al-Taqwa.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Brother Abdul. Sister Latifa.
I am Latifa F. Wahi Wangara. I've been in the community for 47 years, coming in Los Angeles. I am a wife, mother, and senior employee for Muslim Journal.
Alhamdulillah. Well, thank you all again for taking time out of your busy lives to be with us today for this Taaleem. Let's go ahead and jump into the conversation. I would like for each panelist to address this question because I think responses to it is going to be driven by the varied and diverse experiences that you all have had within our community. The history of African-American Muslims is rich and storied, and yet one can argue that we have not lived up to our promise. First, do you agree with this sentiment? And then explain your position on why or why not you agree with the sentiment that we as African-American Muslims have not lived up to the rich and storied history that we know we possess within our community. I'm going to ask that Brother Clyde respond first, if you don't mind.
Sure, I don't mind. It's a very interesting question. I think it depends on what you see as our history. Our history goes back to probably the first ship that came over here. Now, we were not necessarily a defined community as we see ourselves, but I won't necessarily say that there were not folks on that journey who connected with each other as Muslims, and that was obviously taken away from us, that sense of community. But in terms of the latest iteration of African-American Muslims, let's just say in modern times, again, I think it's really easy to be simplistic about that. When we talk about the Nation of Islam, as opposed to all the African-American Muslims, because they were not all in the Nation of Islam. Sister Mari can really tell you a lot more about that. I think our promise, most important promise we have is to do the best we can to live as Muslims in every aspect of our lives and to carry that to the people that we affect, starting of course with our families, but anyone that we affect. I think we probably are not measuring all the impact we have really had on our community. But some of us can look around just in our families and see how people have changed around us because of us. The other thing is, I think our community is blessed to have been decentralized, quote unquote, by Imam Warathi Muhammad. And you can go from city to city and see examples of excellence in every aspect of what we do, and see examples of places that need to improve in every aspect of what they do. But I claim all the excellence, and I take responsibility for all those things that we have to work on. I worked with mostly non-Muslims, except for when I worked in our schools. And the potential that I see in our school, not only be a great institution for us, but I see it have an impact on other people too, and other institutions. I see them copying what we've done. I see them discovering what we've done. So I think when you start to think you have lived up to your promise, you might be ready to sit down. I don't think you're ready to sit down, but I think we're still working on it.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you for that response. Sister Latifa, would you like to weigh in on this question?
Brother Clyde expressed it pretty much like what I was thinking, because to me it was a yes and a no question. Yes, we have. If you just look at what we had in the early stages of our community, and we have to remember we're an 88-year-old community. So in our youth, 60s and 50s, we had that vigor and that vim, and we were everywhere establishing various things. But just like the human being, we have waned with age. So we have to look at that, and we have to figure out how we can move forward and bring the youth with us. When we came in, we had pioneers. We were younger. They were active. That gave us the incentive to be active. but it was a centralized action. You know, everything pointed to Chicago. Chicago was the star. You look to Chicago for direction. But now that we're all over, and like Brother Clyde said, you can travel and you can see different pockets of excellence as well as where we need to improve. And I want to be working on getting better and better with each stage, inshallah.
Inshallah. Yeah, I would love to hear from Brother Abdul or Sister Mariam.
Well, I think I did agree with the question somewhat, partially. I think we've done a pretty good job so far. Thus far, we've been dedicated to the cause of Islam, and many of us have been around each other for many, many years, and we had our ups and downs, and now I felt that we're not necessarily starting all over again, but we're rebuilding again, and I found that what the other part of it, I felt that we haven't established an introduction to Islam for our new converts. I have never understood that in this community. As I said before, I came into Islam through the Ahmadiyyan community. And when someone came in there, you gave your Quran, they get your information about the Holy Prophet Muhammad. You got a primer with your alphabet, so you could start a little book. You could start learning how to read your prayers and what have you. And it's because so many of us, I've noticed that when they come into the fold of Islam, they're basically lost, because the cliche they say, each one teach one. That's what we did in the Ahmadiyyan community. You put them under your wing and you taught them their prayers. You share, even if it wasn't in a mosque, on your time when it was available. And I think we need to work on that, because it's people that came. I saw people that came into the community and left because they didn't know what to do, they didn't understand, and they went back into the church. Maybe it wasn't for them. I don't know, but I think we should at least give people a chance to make. If you come in, you don't know nothing anyway. You know a little bit, but you should. We as Muslims, vintage Muslims, that's been here for a while, we have to learn to take the time and help one another and help the newcomers better, and help those that are in here that's too ashamed to tell you, I don't know anything but the Al-Fatiha. So help each other, but we have to be in agreement. So a lot of people don't want you to know how much they don't know. They're embarrassed, but it's nothing to be embarrassed, but each one teach one. Let's help each other more about this faith, this religion. Then we don't have to worry about an immigrant coming to us, pointing to an Islamic emblem on our chest and say, do you know what that means? You know, we know what it means, you know, so I'm really serious about that. We need to help each other more.
Yeah. I'm hearing a couple of things there. One of the things that stands out for me in your comments is the importance of vulnerability when building a sense of community. Right? Like I have to be willing as a member of this community to reach out and feel comfortable to share what it is that I know and don't know. And ask. Yeah, thank you for that. Brother Abdul, Khalik, you want to jump in?
You got to unmute yourself.
Okay. Yeah, my thoughts are kind of all over the place on this particular one. Have we lived up to our promise? And I'm happy to hear that all of us are in agreement with that we have lived up to our promise. We're Muslims, we're believers, we carry ourselves in that manner. And wherever we are, like Brother Clyde was saying, even our family members, their behavior has all changed because of us. The American society has changed because of us. We've had a large impact on this country, even though we don't get the credit, we don't get the media exposure, because they're not about trying to turn this country into a Muslim society. This is not a Muslim society. It never will. I'm not that it never will be, but they don't intend, and they're upset because we're moving more and more into that direction, and that their way of life, as they know it, is being changed. And when Allah created all of us, every soul that's going to be created, he placed in that soul to know right from wrong. He placed in that soul to know what is good and what is bad, right? So using myself as an example, it took me 15 years or so after I accepted this deen to really be serious about this deen. But no matter what I saw, no matter what I did, my soul always told me what was right, right? So when I was able to be in the company of those that were doing right, you know, I couldn't be convinced not to do right. You know, every time I was around right, I got stronger and stronger in doing right because I knew what was right. Even when I wasn't doing right, I knew I wasn't right. So I think when you say we live up to our promise is not to, because we can't make anybody do anything, but our promise is to be that example. And I think we've been a tremendous example to the society with our presence and with our influence that we've given to it.
Yeah. Thank you all so much for those insights. I'm hearing that it's important to recognize what has been accomplished because of our community, while also acknowledging where we've earned, where we can improve, where we can continue to grow. And I think that's important as we think about learning from our historical experiences as we work to try to build a prosperous future for those of us who, raising, children, and thinking about our grandkids and what are we leaving them, that we have to acknowledge what we've done well, but also pay close attention to and properly address those areas of challenge that we've confronted. My next question is around some of the challenges that we are currently facing. So when the four of you look at the state of our African-American Muslim community, and again, I recognize that saying the word African-American Muslim community in some way is problematic because we know that African-American Muslims aren't a monolith, right? That we have experiences and ways of thinking about it in the world. But I'm going to ask you, just for the sake of this question, to sort of generalize a little bit. So when you look at the condition of our community today, what do you think our most predominant challenges are, right? What are the challenges that have to be confronted today if we want to build a foundation for a more prosperous future? I'm going to ask that Sister Latifa respond to this question first, if she doesn't mind.
I think trust. Trust is the foundation that will help us build and move forward. We lack trust in one another. We don't trust each other. And part of that is just as Sister Mariam was talking about, when we visit other communities, you see the racism. And that influences how we behave even with each other. And we have to be extremely careful that we don't bring other people's ideas of us with us when we interact with each other. We can't look at each other and I can trust this person that doesn't look like me, but since you look like me, I'm not ready to trust you. And we should be able to trust one another. I think trust is the main thing that we're missing, because without trust, we won't be able to build anything. We won't even be able to build a relationship comfortably if we don't trust.
Thank you so much. Again, I'm going to encourage folks to mute if they are not speaking, just to make sure that we're not competing with background noise. I would also like for our participants to consider posing a few questions in the chat. If your brains are churning and some things have been said, some insights shared that really resonate with you, feel free. I am monitoring the chat as well. Thank you. So the theme of Sister Latifa's answer was trust, that we have to trust one another and give each other, in some ways, the benefit of the doubt and assume positive intent. I would like to hear from Sister Mariam. What are your thoughts on that? What are the challenges? So we hear trust. What other challenges are we confronting in our community?
Well, I feel that we have to continue holding on to the rope of Islam and prepare for war in time of peace, because the situation that we're in, and none of us was really prepared for this, because we've never been through anything like this pandemic. And we sometimes we took a lot for granted because we were living comfortably in the society and everything. So we not to take nothing for granted now. This new reality has taken a toll on everybody, all of us. Making sense of it, this reality, only Allah knows why it happened and when it was going to happen. So we must leave it up to Allah when it comes to, and just like Sister Angara said, even and not in part of my statement is also trust wholly in not just each other, trust wholly into the will of Allah, no matter what. And we have to follow these guidelines. I see people still not listening to what's happening around us. In my lifetime, I've never seen anything like this. So we don't have anything left but Allah to guide us and keep us strong and kind of alleviate the fear of what we're going through. Continue to hold on to the rope of Allah and go into Istiqamah more and more for his instructions to us, because we hear so much that's going on, and our community is small compared to everybody else's world. So we have to come closer, like Sister said, we got to trust one another more. And I'm praying that one day we can get back together and we can share with one another, share what I know. I share a little of this and you give me a little bit, so we can build it better for one another. And because this is a new reality for all of us. So I just hold on to Allah. Even when I took that vaccination, I asked Allah, let it do nothing else but what it's supposed to do. I've heard so many other negative things and I can't accept it. I have to accept Allah. And Allah gives me the sense to do something. When I pray on it, after I go into I'm going to do it. So that's what we have to do. And like I said, it's trust. And first, trust Allah. That's what we have to do.
Thank you for that response. I want to ask our brother Abdul Khalik and brother Clyde to respond to that. But you said something that sparked another question that I want to pose to the panel before we return to those brothers. And that is, you mentioned the uncertainty that we're living in now, that we're all trying to make sense of this world, make sense of the reality that we are currently living in. I want to ask someone on the panel to respond to the question of how do we make sense as African-American Muslims, as Muslims, how do we make sense of this world that we're living in? How do we make sense of this reality? And what is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what is he saying to us that we need to be hearing, right, as we plan for our future? I'm going to ask Brother Clyde to jump in on that, if he doesn't mind.
Thank you. That's a heavy one. You making me change directions, which is good. I think I appreciate the challenge. First of all, I'm going to echo what Sister Martin said about trusting Allah. But what that is to you in terms of behavior is really important. No, we have not seen times like this, but then we have. We have seen times that are parallel to this, but maybe not necessarily exactly with the exact same cause. Because anybody knows what it's like, even if it's just in our genetic history, living in situations that you don't control, that you don't, is African Americans. So Allah promises us that he's always near. So when you're in a situation that looks like there's nothing, you have to stop in that situation, look around and say, has Allah presented an opportunity for me in this? Because maybe so. We still got to get through it. We still got to concern ourselves with our family, with our children, etc. But we still got to get through it and come out the other side with lessons, because Allah doesn't give us any trial without lessons being the major ingredient in those trials. So I think we have to look at the lessons and the opportunities. And I just give you an example. We have all had to become more digital during this pandemic. We battled with ourselves about how can we reach our children. They're going to schools. We don't control. Look, here's an opportunity for all of us to take this virtual world and get more control over the messages going to ourselves and our children. You can create your own radio station, create your own movies. You can do all of that. Other people are doing it, and all they peddling is junk, but they're doing it.
Yeah.
So we can peddle something substantive, but don't ignore the fact that the people want to be entertained. People can be entertained by intelligence, just like they can be entertained by foolishness. If you present it in an entertaining way, and that's what effective educators do anyway. They make you enjoy it. You know, they motivate you. They tell you what you can do. You know, and it becomes enjoyable. We're some of the most creative people in this world. We drive the culture of this country. I'm talking about we as Muslims and we as African Americans. That's a resource just like the diamonds in Africa. It might be a greater resource than the diamonds in Africa.
Absolutely.
So we have to grab that and we have to turn it. And Imam told us he had so many lessons on this that I think we need to perhaps go back to. But in terms of the things holding us back, I have to say, we need intergenerational institutions because we're losing our each generation, because I think we're spending more time telling them what to do than asking them what we need to do to hold on to them. Not necessarily asking their permission, but examining them and watching them and observing them and seeing how we can be creative and giving them something that they really want to take on to the next level.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's clear. Brother Abdul Khalik, I want you to jump in and build on that if you can. You're muted, my brother.
I heard a long time ago, and we've all heard this because this is a part of our history, right? I will be as dead as this doorstop before I send my children to your schools. Sister Claire Muhammad, right? We've all heard that. The youth are precious. The world wants the youth. Once you teach the youth when they're young the ways to go, they may stray, as we've heard, but they always come back to what they were taught. If we teach our children, control the education that we give our children, if we teach them who Allah is, what Allah says, right? In the Quran, in the life situation in the Quran, which are timeless. Everything that's going on with these pandemics and oppressive political regimes, we all know stories, those incidents are in Quran, and the solutions that we need in order to be successful, Allah has given them to us. We have to ground our children in that and control that education. That way, when we talk about STEM education, you know, the sciences and et cetera, they can master them the way they mastered them in our history, right? And we can once again become the people that we were before we were occupied or before we lost our way, the way Adam lost his way. Adam got back, we can get back. And I think the most pressing thing we need to do is to control the education of our children. Because we can always look at TV, and just like the little butt-naked child that ran across the screen, well, they're always running butt-naked, whatever, across the screen. Anytime you turn on television, something is always hitting you all the time. You know, a game that my wife and I play all the time with each other when we're watching television is we want to see how many times we can spot the subliminal messages that come over that screen. And it's constant. It's constant. They never live up, and they spend billions of dollars controlling our lives, right? So that education piece is very important, and we have to control our institutions. That was one of the things that brought me to this religion, to this community, was the strength and the control and how the people stood together and loved each other.
Well, that response takes us back to some of the most pressing challenges facing our community today. And Brother Abdul, if I understand you correctly, you're calling out the lack of control that we have over our educational institutions, all right, and our inability to fight against some of the subliminal messaging that our young people in particular, old folk too, grown folk too, particularly our young people, the subliminal messaging that they're bombarded with every day, all day, through social media, television, etc. Am I right to make that assumption?
Yes, correct. So I've observed that the Nation of Islam had schools It was all over the country, and they all the same curriculum, right? They had control of what the children learn. Community. We don't have that anymore. We have some communities that are trying to resurrect Sister Claire Muhammad schools, and they're working hard at it, you know. But right now we don't have it, and I would really like to see that effort be increased, and we can get that back again, because I think that's so very important.
Yes. Thank you for that. Brother Kyle, I'm going to bring you back in, if you wouldn't mind addressing the question around the predominant challenges that we are facing today as a community. What would you say those are?
Or did you say me?
Yes, sir.
I think the predominant challenge, to be honest with you, is a lack of belief in what we can do. I think that stops us from taking that first step. The second one, the third one is not going to come. I'm just looking at the people right now in front of me. This is an assembly of some of the brightest minds in Chicago, right here in front of me. And I'm not saying, believe me, you know, I'm not saying this to curry favor with any of you. I mean, you're very bright, but most of you are not millionaires. So it's not you don't have the money to me to try to get your money, but I'm just saying, we are doing everything we're talking about doing. You know, it's very, very important work that all of you do. And I'm not just talking about occupations. I'm talking about intelligence. I'm talking about intellect. I'm talking about wisdom. I'm talking about, you know, I don't see him on here now, but he is on here now. I mean, I can count on Brother Bashir Assad keeping me educated on what the Imam said about things. I mean, I got to the point now, I don't want to get lazy, but I'm saying, like, if he doesn't come every week, I'm going to wonder what's wrong, you know, because I count on that. I'm doing things too. We're all doing stuff. So I think recognizing who we are is the first step, and recognizing what we have done. Look for the examples of success. We have the Atlanta school has almost been consistently doing pretty well. There are a couple other schools around the country. Don't underestimate our kids' interest in what we have done, because they really are curious about it, but you have to give it to them when it's relevant to something that they're already interested in. Like, my daughter has got this preschool concept they have, and she's in charge of it. And she said last week, I did everything I could to get away from being an educator. I said, well, I tried too. But she's so interested in Sister Clara Muhammad now, because she says to me, what did Sister Clara Muhammad say about this? Sister Clara Muhammad is the mother of homeschooling. Sister Clara Muhammad pioneered homeschooling. And now that everybody's talking about a cooperative school, she said, well, you know, actually, Sister Clara Muhammad was a cooperative homeschooling program. I said, yeah, even people were in the classroom teaching each other. You know, so I'm saying, like, it's no way in the world I could have generated that kind of enthusiasm trying to push it on her. You know, I just I can't say I knew exactly what seeds I dropped, but she's doing something that I can tie to what we've done. The other thing is entrepreneurship. A lot of our kids, I think we have more kids who want to be in business for themselves than most Black communities. Our kids. That didn't come, that's not an accident. That's our community DNA setting in. And we need to encourage that and stay close to them about that, because they are doing, they may not be conscious, but I think when you let them know, they'll see the connection. So I think we have to nurse and cultivate what's actually taking place in our community, but also we don't have to do everything by ourselves. We can do things that need to be done in the community, and the community would jump on board because we're the ones doing them. We don't have to just be doing things for ourselves.
No, thank you. Lot of nuggets there. Sister Mariam, you want to jump in and expound on something that Brother Clyde said?
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of breaking up when you're talking. I'm not hearing everything. Okay. Is anybody else getting that? Everything is not real clear to me.
Okay.
But I feel that we've lost so many of our youth in this community. When you look around in masjid, it's mostly us, the people. And we have to make some way, somehow, first through prayer, how to invite many of our young people back again to the community, because many of them are not a part of any church or synagogue or religion. They just say, I believe in God, which is good. That's number one. But we do have to start with our babies when they're coming up. But we got so many out here that are young teenagers, young adults that are interested in Islam. And some of them, a couple of them told me they don't understand it. I say, well, have you studied up on it? Have you get some research, got some books, or went someplace where you can get some information on the Islamic religion? Well, no. I said, well, how can you learn or find out about it? I said, you're listening to the propaganda on the radio and television. That's not giving you the truth. So what I do is several books that I buy and I give to the young people. The introduction of everything you need to know about Islam. It's by, I don't have it in front of me, but anyway, it's several books that I give them to introduce them to Islam, and that's one of them. Well, everything you need to know about Islam. I bought it at the bookstore. I bought it from the Muslim bookstore, both of them, and I try to give them something to read. I said, now, if you don't read it, you don't know it. It's like having a brick in your possession. So, and then I'll invite them with me, but many times they're not available to go with me. But what I try to do is give them different books that I buy, because the minute they come visit me, they might say, can I read that book? I said, no, I'll get you one. So I always give them something tangible so they can, I say, read it. And then if one of them told me he read it, but he's still not settled with it, so he became a pastor of a church. Well, then I know I did my part as a Muslim, as a believer, to help them. So many of our children don't come out anymore, but they still consider themselves Muslim, and we have to look at some of the past, what discouraged them. But see, now it's not as much as that discouraging going on in messages now. So I've been thinking about ways to introduce them back, because they're our children are educated. You can't sell them anything, and they run with it, because they're thinkers. So I look at, so you give them the pearls that you do have, but we do need to invite the younger people back to the fold of Islam, because right now, just like your last question was, what do you think about 25 years in the future? Well, I think about what I want to happen, but many of us may not be here, but still won't happen. So most of it is going to happen with people younger than us that's going to carry the torch, that pick the torch up and run with it. Yeah. So we have to do more, and many of us are tired from life experience and what we have to do in life. Many people are just tired. And what you said, what do you think about the reality? This reality? We don't know why this happened. We don't know. And I just said, we just have to have faith. Like my sister said, the best thing is to trust. We don't know about this reality, but we're trying to adjust to it. Yeah. Yeah. So I feel we should try to open the doors to some of the younger people. It's a little harder now because we on Zoom and everything,
Thank you, Sister Mariam. So we have a question from the audience. I'm going to close now. What would you say have been our greatest successes as a community? What have been our greatest successes as a community? If everybody could respond with maybe just one, right? What would you point to? What would be that one thing that you're most proud of when you reflect on our history as a community of African American Muslims? Sister Latifa, can I put you on the spot and have you respond first?
Well, I would say our ability to keep going, even though it looks like we're failing, to continue to move forward. And always trusting Allah. That to me goes without saying. You may not always say it, but we always know we trust in Allah. Yes. And dealing with the pandemic and all the things that's happened in the earth reminds me of the verse in the Quran where it says, when the earth throws up its burden. And what we're looking at is the results of man ignoring his responsibility as the caretaker of the earth, of the planet. And everything obeys Allah. and the earth itself is obeying Allah, and that small little virus is being obedient as well to bring humanity together, because we had moved away from faith and trust in Allah, and then that's our way of coming back together, because it hit the whole planet. So we have to know that we are one people, one humanity, and that Allah is our God, and Allah will bring us together, like he said, willingly or unwillingly. We're coming together, a lot of us willingly, a lot of us are fighting tooth and nails against it, but we have to come together, because what we've seen humanity look at each other and stop looking at me as over here and you over there, and then everybody's trying to come together to help each other. And we're seeing that all over the place. Yeah. Just like in Texas, where they, I mean, some of the cruelest governance, where one man told the people that they shouldn't want a handout. You know, they're freezing cold. I mean, just cruel. So Allah's bringing back the human being. This is the time of the human being. We're through with that cruel rulership, even though it's in its last days. They're fighting tooth and nail, trying to make sure we never vote again, but that's not going to work. So coming together, being united, that's in trusting Allah, just holding on. Like I say, the earth is throwing up its burden, letting us know to get our act together, inshallah.
That's a great word. Again, a lot of great reminders. Thank you for those people. I'm going to ask Brother Abdul to jump in. One of the successes, Sister Latifah reminds us of one success to point to is our ability to persist in the face of adversity. What would you point out as success that we can and build on for the future? You're muted, Brother Abdul.
Talking to me?
Yes.
The fact that...
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Brother Abdul, jump in.
The fact that we have become Orthodox, Sunni, our greatest success, because we now are living in that clear evidence. We're basking in that pure light of Quran that Allah has given to mankind. And we're not, confused anymore about what's going on in this world, why it's happening. So we see it, we know it, and we're responding to it. We know that the pandemics that are here have been here before. And we know that Allah allows this to happen when mankind has gotten off track to get us back on the track. The one that comes to mind most is when Prophet Musa was with the Egyptians, and he brought the pandemic, and he told all of the believers to stay indoors, not to come out. Well, that's the same thing they're telling us now. Stay indoors, don't go out, right? We saw this in 1917, 1918. Stay indoors, wear a mask, wash your hands. So we're living in that light. And the fact that we are not confused anymore about Allah, who Allah is, about the deen, what's expected of us, that to me is paramount, is number one.
Thank you, brother.
Assalamualaikum.
Sister Mario. Oh, hey, brother. Hey, how you doing, brother?
I'm good.
Jump in.
If you don't mind.
Please, jump in.
Yeah, I don't know if everybody knows it, but actually, I think one of the greatest accomplishments that we've been able to do is to still be a community. I don't know how many know about the you can find it in the Freedom of Information Act. J. Edgar Hoover promised to destroy the Nation of Islam at the death of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Okay. We were supposed to go the route of Marcus Garvey. Disappear, period. Okay. So now to confirm that, okay, for those that might be skeptical, all right, to confirm that, look at the state of the south side of Chicago in the 70s. and the Black Wall Street that existed here, we had 8 Black-owned banks. Okay, where are they at now? We had the 3 largest African-American companies in the country. New York, 10 times bigger than Chicago, didn't have African-American companies anywhere near the size of Soft Sheen, Johnson Products, and Johnson Publishing. Where are they? Okay, not only, now look, Black Wall Street. Okay, so ask yourself, what was Black Wall Street doing so terrible to the country that these people had to bomb it? What were we doing? We were taking care of ourselves. We were not begging for welfare. We were not begging for jobs. We didn't care about getting educated next to you. Okay, so what we have to realize is that we've been attacked. They didn't bomb us, but they destroyed our economic ability. Look at our neighborhoods. We have $1.3 trillion going through our hands every year. And you mean to tell me we got young boys that can't get a job? Or something that's crazy about that. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad solved that. We have to go back to what was successful and duplicate it. We cannot allow these people to destroy what we've already been successful at. Okay, and we don't need to beg nobody to come back to nothing. What we need to do is provide jobs for them, and they'll come back. Yeah. That's what Honorable Elijah Muhammad did. He said, you start out selling papers, all right, but do for self, create a job, all right. Then he brought the fish, all right. So we have the history, and as Clyde had said earlier, the W.D. Muhammad High School in Atlanta is not no fluke. Okay, we had success with the school here. Right. Clyde was the principal. Okay, so all I'm saying is we need to concentrate and duplicate on our past successes. Don't worry about making up nothing new. Don't worry about getting tired. These people are at war with us. Ain't no tired. It's time to get busy. Okay, we have, and I'm gonna close with this because I can go. We have the do you need me to stop?
Well, I just want to let me put a bow on it because because you said a lot and it's all good, right? Everything you said, I think what I'm hearing you say though, the most important takeaway for me at least is that we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Yes.
That we can build on, that the blueprint is already there. We just have to pay attention. That's what I heard you say.
Yes, sir.
And I would give you more time, brother, if we have.
No, I understand. I got in late.
That's okay.
I had tied up.
Whenever you got here, you on time. But I want to close out because we only have about 3 minutes left. And first of all, let me thank all of you for being with us, here today. I think we have about 25 people with us in total, which is great. This is going to go up on the Masjid YouTube channel, Masjid Al-Taqwa. So very excited. And I think it's been a really good conversation. But let's close with this. In 20 to 25 years, what would you like to say we've accomplished as a community? In 20 to 25 years, so we're going to forecast, a couple of decades, right? What would you like to say we've accomplished as a community? Sister Mariam, I'm going to start with you. If you can answer that question briefly, I'm going to go down the line. Everyone else.
I didn't hear the question well because I must have a bad connection.
That's okay.
Oh, you have it.
So the question is, in 20 to 25 years, what would you like to say we've accomplished as a community? In 20 to 25 years.
Oh, okay. Well, in 20 to 25 years, my prayer is to continue to have the unity, the total unity for our Muslim community and Ummahs. And I would, inshallah, love to build a mosque in that period of time of the mosque, a beautiful masjid, and have our educational institution built. That's what I want. And a recreational institution for our children to come. Whatever the recreation, just a multi recreational institution to help our children. Be willing to love to come, and recreational centers for our children and others that they're welcome to, and a medical center for our community. I'm looking 20 to 25 years, inshallah. I'm looking forward to that. And bless us all to continue seeking the knowledge of Islam. We're never too old to continue to learn all that you can learn about this religion, because it is no end to it. And the more you know, the better you do, the better you can share with others and help others. And if we do that, I think we'll be fine. We're doing all right now. We just need a little more time to build and help one another and help each other and establish more for our children so they can come to our institution to enjoy and bring friends. Our children go to theirs and enjoy their institution. So I would like that to happen for us.
I'm looking at, thank you so much, sister. I'm looking at my fellow board members, and we got some money to raise, because according to Sister Mariam, in 20 to 25 years, we need a school, a recreational center, and a medical center. So we got some work to do, inshallah. Brother Abdul Khalik, I'm gonna ask you to respond. In 20 to 25 years, what do you want to say we've accomplished as a community? You're muted, my brother.
Here.
$1.3 trillion a year is a lot of money. A lot of money. I would like to see that we have established the 4 birds that Imam Wathani Muhammad pointed out to us, right? The establishment of our culture, our businesses, our religions, and our education. I would like to see us in control of that, building on that, and striving. And all the hopes and aspirations and dreams and prayers that we have now as community will be fulfilled.
Yes. Thank you for that response. Sister Latifa, your thoughts?
Well, I would like to say part of what Sister Mariam had mentioned that we would like to see. I'd like to see something for our seniors, our senior housing, because we can't let them be left for someone else to take care of. So we need to work on that. Yes. I would like to see that happen in the next 20, 25 years. We have a center now coming up with Dr. Shabazz. Hopefully that will continue to move forward. And I'd like to see us reach out to our youth, but invite them, but with open arms, because part of the problem, we've been too critical. They don't do this, they don't do the other. Just open our hearts and open our arms and invite our youth back, and do the same with each other. Be welcoming to each other. And that can help us move forward even quicker and more quickly, inshallah. And trust always in Allah.
Always, inshallah. Thank you so much for that insight. Brother Clyde, you're gonna close us out.
Let me say ditto. I'm so happy that Brother Abdul Khalik mentioned the four birds, because I was sitting here thinking about that. Look, our youth is not a mystery. We're probably a mystery to them. Whenever we have something like this, and I know the brother, nobody stopped him, but we were talking about youth. I was Brother Sham Sadiq, right out front talking, telling us we need to invite them to talk to us. When your children are grown, it's time to stop thinking that you can tell them too much directly. Everything is kind of indirect. You kind of have to help them come to the conclusions you want them to come to by running their mouth, So, and you'd be surprised what you hear when you listen to them. I mean, you have to come back to the mosque. We're having this event. We want you guys to put together a panel and educate us on how you guys are moving in the culture. I got a video last night of a brother whose son is doing some amazing things as a spoken word artist and is picking up traction. And what he's saying is perfectly harmonious with Al-Islam. He's not using the word Al-Islam. People get the concept Al-Islam. Right. And eventually, the only religion that fits is Al-Islam. I'd like to see us function like we know that everything is driven by us being together as a community, an economic community, definitely. And change the thinking of the people around us because we have cultural institutions that they come to. They don't have to. We have our own, but we should not only have our own. We need to be meeting their needs for cultural alternatives, because they will respond.
Yeah.
Same thing in business. You know, they made us successful when we had your supermarket. It wasn't just the Muslims that made us successful, or the bakery.
Right.
They made us successful because we were serving them.
Mm-hmm.
We have to understand that and get back to it. I think our kids are waiting on us. We should be waiting on them.
Mm.
And then our kids, I just
All
use
right.
kids.
I really I hate to bring this conversation to a close, but I'm gonna blame brother Imam Tariq, because he said we only had an hour, so I'm gonna put it I'm gonna put it on him. I just can't say how appreciative I am to be able to sit at the feet of members of our community who have the collective wisdom that you displayed today. We can go on another 2 hours and it still wouldn't be enough. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for sharing your insights and your perspectives. I feel like this is a conversation that needs to continue. So I'm going to ask and put you all on the spot, kind of. You don't have to answer right now, but we'd love to bring this panel back together in the next month or so, and maybe revisit this conversation, because I think it's worth having. And we want to expand our reach. We want to invite more people, inshallah, to come and listen to these insights. I think what I heard you all say is that, yeah, we got some growing to do, but we've done so much already that we can build upon, and that's empowering. And I hope that that's empowering for everybody that had the benefit to listen to your words today. So thank you to all of our participants. The comments that I'm seeing in the chat are all very positive. Everyone's very appreciative. And I just on behalf of everyone, thank you again for your time. It is 2:05, and I want to be mindful and acknowledge how valuable our time is and how much we spend in front of these computers. So I'm going to close us out today with Walasa. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Walasa. Inna lisan Allah fi kusra. Illa ladina amanu wa amilu salihati. Wa tawassaw bil haqq wa tawassaw bis sabr. Allah. Ameen.